Have you ever had one of those days? You just didn't realize what it was. A day that doesn't behave, where the air feels too still, the light feels tilted, and something unnameable presses behind your eyes. You try to work. You forget what time it is. You say you're tired, but it's not exhaustion. It's something else. Something old, or maybe something arriving. You don't know why you want to cry, or run, or burn everything and start over. It doesn't make sense, but it's not supposed to. Because some days aren't days, they're thresholds. You feel disconnected, not because you're broken, but because you're between two scripts, one dissolving, one not yet named. And if you listen carefully, the silence isn't empty, it's humming, like a key in a lock. This isn't about astrology, or fate, or signs. This is about geometry of the unseen, moments when the Tao folds the world in on itself and suddenly you're standing in the seam. These are portal days, gate moments, timeline bends, days that ask not for answers, but for stillness, presence, and a willingness to step through without knowing what you're stepping into. You don't create portals, you don't manifest them. You notice, you stay, you let the world rearrange.
You've been calling it a mood, a dip, a fog, a phase. But what if it wasn't emotional? What if it was energetic architecture shifting underneath you? Some days feel heavier, not because you're broken, but because your reality is softening around the edges. You're not sad, you're thinning. The version of you that held the past in place is letting go. And it feels like grief only because your nervous system doesn't have language for dimensional drift. Taoism teaches, Lao Tzu said, the softest things overcome the hardest. And sometimes softness arrives in the form of stillness you don't understand. Not depression, not fatigue, just recalibration. You're not failing. You're reaching an edge, and the edge is speaking back. Here's what's really happening. Portal days don't announce themselves. They dissolve things. Your schedule, your identity, your logic. They come dressed as not feeling like yourself, when in truth, you're finally slipping out of the version you kept pretending to be. Common signs of portal days. You cancel plans for no reason. You crave total silence. You feel both overstimulated and empty. Your dreams bleed into waking. You don't want answers, just the key question. That's not mental instability. That's psychic thresholding. A portal is not opened by force. It's opened when the structure of your normal becomes too fragile to hold its shape. And if you stop resisting, you might walk into something that no longer needs an explanation. Mini practice. Next time you feel off, don't fix it. Don't name it. Don't try to feel better. Just pause and whisper, maybe I'm not falling apart. Maybe I'm at the door. Then, listen. If it echoes, you're already inside.
You were taught to look for signs, doors, clues, moments that feel loud and obvious. But Taoism teaches something quieter, something stranger, something softer. The Tao doesn't move through space. It rearranges the shape of presence itself. Portals aren't openings, they're folds. The room doesn't unlock, it bends. And suddenly, the floor beneath your assumptions starts to ripple. You don't step into a portal. You dissolve into a version of yourself that no longer requires exit or entry. You're still in your life, but something in the air is charged, disoriented, loose. That's the fold forming. Imagine this, a sheet of paper. Folded once, two distant points are now touching. That's what happens on a portal day. Two versions of you that once lived on opposite ends of time collapse into overlap. And if you're still enough, you'll feel the brush of her breath on your current choices. Taoism calls this Ziran, the naturalness of what wants to happen without your interference. Not manifested, not summoned, just permitted. The more you grasp at portals, the more they close. But when you drop effort, when you become undefined, the fold appears. Portal geometry in practice. You forget what day it is. You stare at an object and it feels unfamiliar. Your name doesn't feel like it fits for a moment. You get emotional without a cause. You say, I don't know what's happening, but something is. That's the Tao folding the room. And you're not lost. You're becoming available to the alternate. Practice. Sit in a familiar space. Then imagine, what if this isn't the same room you woke up in? Don't force belief. Just notice what changes in your breath when you allow the shape of here to shift.
You've been trained to ignore the subtle, to wait for drama, for signs in neon, for proof you can screenshot. But portals speak through pattern breaks, tiny shifts in how time feels, how breath moves, how language lands. And if you've ever whispered, something's off today, you weren't wrong, you were already inside. Here are 5 signals that reality has softened and the portal has begun to open. Not out there, around you. The clock keeps ticking, but you've stepped outside the rhythm. Minutes feel too fast or unbearably slow. You miss appointments, lose track of words, feel like you've lived 3 days in one afternoon. You didn't mess up. You exited the temporal grid. Your nervous system registers it first. Practice. Let yourself wander. Time skip without apology. Ask, if I didn't care what time it was, what would this moment want me to feel? You're not crying about the thing, you're remembering a future. You're overwhelmed, but not because of what just happened. Someone's words cut too deep. A song opens something ancient. You want to run, or sleep, or scream. It's not irrational, it's dimensional pressure. Something is trying to shift, and your emotional body feels the fold before the mind does. Practice. Don't interpret, just feel. Ask, if this emotion were a direction, where is it pointing me? The mug, the light, the sound of your keys, suddenly full of meaning. A chair feels like a memory. A lamp feels like a mirror. A glance from a stranger feels scripted. You're not hallucinating. You're experiencing symbol density. When the portal opens, the world thickens. Everything becomes a potential signal. Practice. Pick one object. Stare. Feel. Ask, why is this here with me, in this version of now? Let it speak, not logically, but through recognition. You catch yourself performing and don't know who you're performing for. You say your name and it sounds foreign. You describe your job and it bores you. You look in the mirror and flinch, not from judgment but from dissonance. This isn't imposter syndrome, it's dimensional misfit. Your old self is unraveling. The new one hasn't been named, but you're not confused. You're in transit. Practice. Let identity feel loose today. Let introductions feel surreal. Say to yourself, I'm not broken, I'm being reassembled. One small decision, and everything could change. A message you almost send, a train you almost take, a person you almost call. And deep down you feel it. If I go left instead of right, my entire life might bend. This is the moment with weight. Portal days create choice density. 1,000 threads tug at once. Practice. Don't freeze. Choose intuitively. Not for results, but for resonance. The timeline you enter starts from the next small yes. Final whisper for this chapter. You're not meant to decode the signs. You're meant to inhabit their shape. Portal days don't tell you what to do.
They ask who you're willing to stop pretending to be.
When the doorway appears, you don't need to run toward it.
You just need to stop doing the things that seal it shut. Because it's not timing you lack. It's space. It's subtlety. It's trust. Portals don't vanish on their own. They vanish when your system can't hold uncertainty. Let's walk through what not to do when the fold arrives. Analysis creates friction. Friction closes the seam. Your mind will want to label, organize, control. Am I ascending? Is this trauma? What does this mean? But the moment you grasp, the field hardens. You're not here to figure it out. You're here to feel where it wants to take you. Instead, say, I allow this moment to remain undefined. Let wonder stay wild. Every word drags you back into the old storyline. You'll want to call someone, text, explain what's happening. But sometimes your language was built in a world you're already stepping out of. Trying to explain the portal can anchor you back to the timeline that never believed in magic. Instead, stay silent for an hour. Let your nervous system catch up to your light field. Repetition anchors vibration. You might feel weird and try to stabilize with the familiar. You clean, you scroll, you go to the grocery store. But every small habitual action tells the timeline, I'm not ready to let this day be different. Instead, disrupt the loop. Wear something strange. Sit in a new room. Write with your other hand. Let your body broadcast, I welcome the shift. Every dopamine hit pulls you from the door. Portals are quiet, phones are loud, scrolling, noise, emails. They spike your system just enough to jam the merge. Instead, go 60 minutes unplugged. Let your boredom open the next layer. You'll be shocked what appears once the algorithm shuts up. The first wave isn't truth, it's timeline turbulence. You'll want to quit. Text your ex. Book a plane ticket. Start a cult. The feeling is real, but the impulse is sometimes pre-language resonance. Instead, write down what you want to do. Sleep on it. Let your new frequency settle before you assign it a name. Whisper for the unraveling. You're not failing if you feel confused. You're just too close to clarity to use your old eyes. The portal doesn't need your performance. It needs your presence. Don't act. Don't chase. Don't narrate. Just stay in the strange. The gate will widen. You think portals lead you elsewhere, somewhere new, somewhere dramatic, but most of the time, they take you inward, down, beneath, where your own life begins to shimmer as if seen for the first time. The job doesn't change. The partner stays. The room looks the same, but something fundamental has rearranged. You're not escaping. You're becoming a version of you that no longer needs to run. Taoist wisdom says, the way is not in the sky, it's under your feet, but only if you stop chasing clouds. So what does it mean to walk through? It means you stop reacting, you stop narrating, you pause long enough for the new rhythm to take root in the old world, and that changes everything. Stillness lets the invisible architecture reveal itself. You don't need a ritual. You don't need a chant. You just need to stop interrupting the shift already in motion. Sit, breathe, feel the air in your room, the sound under silence, the moment behind the moment. That's where the doorway lives. How you pick up your cup tells the portal if you're ready. Don't look for a ceremony. Become the ceremony. Make tea like you're speaking to the Tao. Brush your teeth like your parallel self is watching. Answer emails like they're invitations from another timeline. Not because they are, but because acting that way tunes your field. No one walks through a portal carrying everything they used to believe. Drop a story, a label, a defense. Let something fall off without needing to replace it. That's the weight the portal was waiting for you to release. Practice. Write one sentence you're done identifying with. Breathe over it, then burn it, flush it, bury it. Let the field witness your subtraction. You'll feel the next move in your spine before it arrives in your mind. You'll get the nudge, but it won't be loud. It won't be verbal. It'll feel like a current, a warmth, a click. Practice. When it arrives, don't force a plan. Just move 5% in that direction. Tiny shift, big permission. That's how the portal knows you heard it. Final whisper. You won't feel the shift when it happens. You'll notice it retroactively. A week from now, you'll say, "Something feels lighter, but I didn't do anything." That's because you didn't walk through. You stopped resisting the walk you were already in. You keep looking for a before and after, a moment you can circle on the calendar, a crack of lightning, a cinematic shift. But the Tao doesn't move like that. It doesn't change you like thunder. It changes you like water wearing down stone, like breath reshaping bone, like gravity you only notice once you stop fighting it. You've already stepped through, not with a bang, but with a stillness, a whisper, a tiny yes in your nervous system that no longer flinches at the sound of your own truth. The portal wasn't out there. It was under your resistance. And now, you're on the other side, still in your room, still in your life, but with a rhythm that doesn't belong to who you used to be. You don't need to go looking. You need to remember how it felt when the light changed, when the silence thickened, when your chest opened and you didn't explain why. That was it. That was the threshold. Final Taoist whisper. The gate is not a place. It is a moment when your being becomes soft enough to fold into what's already true. So if the world feels strange, let it. If time feels slow, trust it. If you feel the pull to cry, to pause, to reintroduce yourself to your own breath, that's not a breakdown. That's dimensional anchoring. You didn't miss it. You just forgot that your becoming would feel this quiet. You didn't fail to find the portal. You were the portal. And now you remember how to hold the shape that opens everything.